Hello, welcome to our demonstration of openBIM. My name is Artur Tomczak and I represent the technical team of buildingSMART International. And today we are going to demonstrate what openBIM is all about, how openBIM works in practice, and why openBIM is the foundation of digital collaboration in our industry.
Sorry, I think you mean BIM, not openBIM.
Sorry, we are not really taking questions during this session, but since you already asked, would you mind coming on stage and introducing yourself, please?
Well, it's not a question, but since you're asking,
okay.
Yeah, I was just noticing that you mentioned openBIM. Probably you meant BIM.
Well, I meant openBIM, but you already said you know BIM. So, what do you know about this?
Well, I know a lot about BIM. Matter of fact, I mean, I don't know if you can see my certificates.
Wow, impressive.
BIM manager, BIM specialist, BIM evangelist, CDE manager. I'm also BIM guru, LinkedIn voice of the year for BIM, ISO 19650 specialist. This is a Albertine bonus card. Certified BIM trainer. I mean, I can't go ahead, but I know BIM for sure.
Okay, really impressive. So you already know quite a lot, but openBIM is the umbrella term for all of the open standards and solutions that buildingSMART develops. So yeah, this is an overview of all openBIM ideas, solutions, and standards. Does it look familiar? Do you recognize any of them?
Fancy. Well, I know IFC for sure.
Perfect. So what do you know about IFC?
Well, I have an IFC certificate, first of all. And I know, if I have to explain it to you, it's this format, 5 formats. It's like, PDF?
Right. So it's I see your point, but it's much more than this.
Sure.
So I think maybe instead of this presentation,
I don't mean to interrupt. I mean, if you want to go ahead with your...
Well, since you already asked, I think it will help everyone. So I will just turn off the slide and use my my laptop, and I will open an IFC model. Can you select any of the tools? Because yeah, the thing about openBIM is that there is no one software that controls the whole workflow, but we can choose any tool that supports the standard. So can you choose one of those?
Any tool? Well, let's go with the second one.
Well, yeah, of course. There are many more. I just have those available here on my laptop, but there are plenty.
They're pretty lame.
So I have here a very simple IFC model that is made of 3 different disciplines. I can rotate the view. I can select the elements. I can click on the objects, and you're probably quite familiar with this view. As you can see here, yes, the model is made of individual elements that all contain some properties and quantities, such as fire rating, is it external, what's the length, and so on. But also, every element belongs to this bigger model hierarchies, breakdown structure. In this case, I selected a wall. The wall is part of the wall family. It belongs to the building story. That is a part of bigger building, which is placed on site, and so on and so on. So everything is structured. Like all of this information belongs to its place. And it's not just the visual part and the properties, but also part of the modeling process is that the designer or engineer or whoever is modeling this information also defined that this particular element is a wall according to the IFC standard definition. So I can see it's an IFC wall. Does it look familiar?
Exactly as I said.
Almost, yes. So
this is IFC.
This is an example of IFC data, but IFC is much bigger than this. So IFC is this whole standard that defines all of those. This is IFC documentation website. If you haven't seen it before, I can just quickly explain for the general audience here. The IFC documentation explains the meaning of every definition. So for example, what IFC wall is. It's quite well structured, well documented. You can see that IFC is versioned. So currently we have 3 major versions of IFC. You can propose suggestions. You can see what were the changes made in the past. You can scroll down to see, for example, how this definition fits into the general IFC standard. You can also see, for example, if you scroll lower, how to implement those definitions in the tools so that software can support users in using this. You don't need to know all of it by heart, of course. You can see what properties come with IFC wall. You can see how the geometry should be attached to it. You can also see how walls could be associated with materials or another objects, like how an opening cuts through a wall, all of those relations that exist in a model. And what else? So if I scroll down, I can also see examples of models, and it's very important to stress this information that we see on the bottom of the slide, of the website, sorry. It's the license of IFC. So as I mentioned, IFC is an open standard, and it belongs to the openBIM umbrella of solutions. And what's important is that this standard is both open and is a standard. So we need to have this balance between openness so that everybody can use it, everybody can read these definitions, everybody can understand what each element means. But at the same time, yes, this is a standard, so you cannot make changes to it. You can use it, but you're not supposed to, for example, redefine all of this, right?
So this is very important. That's why you're writing that in a small font at the bottom.
Yeah, it's the website, sorry.
Okay.
So, yeah. Do you get it? Do you understand IFC better now?
Yes, it's probably a bit more than what I learned when I get my certificate. I should complain with my certification body. But I took some notes. I think I understood IFC is data standard, so it's not a file format.
Correct.
Like PDF. It's open. It's an open standard, meaning it's accessible and usable by everybody. It has versions, and the latest one is IFC 4.3, the one that you just show. You can use it to create models that are made of objects, and these objects have meaning, properties, relationship. They can be arranged in different ways, and they usually come with geometry. Is that it?
Pretty much it. Yeah, those are the key highlights of IFC. Okay. Well done.
Well, sorry to interrupt. I'll go to. Please go ahead with your presentation. I didn't mean to.
Thank you.
But sorry, first, because you were talking, and I was wondering, can I ask another question?
Sure.
And I was wondering, because you show a small building, a small house, but in my experience with all my certificate, of course, I deal with many buildings, big files, huge models, and they're usually filled with information. It's very difficult to rely on that amount of information. Is there a way to navigate or understand better the level of information in these models?
Yeah, I see. Well, it's up to the designers to structure the information properly, but I see your point. Yes, sometimes it's difficult to control all of it because, yeah, it's all connected and all of those relations, right? So we have a solution that can help, which is called IDS, the Information Delivery Specification Standard.
I don't have a certificate for that.
It's relatively new standard, but it's already very popular.
That's why.
And it's very simple. Let me just explain it to you. So you already know IFC. IDS is your tool, your standard to specify information requirements. So you specify what information you want to be in your model. For example, for this IFC wall, what properties you need to have. And once you specify all of it, you can also check almost automatically that every piece of information is where it's supposed to be in the format that you are expecting. It's pretty simple.
I work better with examples. Do you have any of them?
Yeah, I happen to have some examples. So could you select one of the tools? Just pick any. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, the third one.
Okay. So before I open this, what would you like to require your data to have? Give me an example.
Well, usually I get requests for IFC models, LOD 400.
Okay, that's common requirement that I see in BIM documentations. But what does it mean? Like, what specific information you want to have? Because LOD 400 could mean different things in different countries, on different projects, in different disciplines. So can you give me, like, what do you want? Walls, slabs? Give me a group of elements.
A beam.
Okay, beam. So probably a structural model, right?
Yes.
So let's create this IDS in here. So I first need to type some metadata. So I'll just put Singapore 2025. Okay, and I will call this Evandro wants beams. Okay, and yeah, after I do that, I can begin my specification process. So there is also additional information. We can specify which version of IFC you expect. Doesn't matter now, I will just select IFC 4.3. But before I continue, you can see that IDS has those, every specification IDS has those parts called applicability and requirements. So applicability is where you specify to which elements those requirements apply to. So in your case, beams. And requirements is where you actually define what information you want to have. It's a bit more complicated, but not much. So you already said you want beams, so I will just add this information here. So I can add a new clause to our specification and select that we want entity, IFC entity, called beams. Yeah, let me just do that here.
So applicability is the objects that
yes, to which this first specification applies to. You can have many such specifications in IDS. So after this, we can add actual requirements. So we select all of the beams, and what do you want those beams to have? Like, for example, like what material?
Well, wood.
Okay, I see. So I can add another specification saying that all beams need to have material called wood. Okay, and what else?
Wait a second. I think I have
maybe some properties.
I have a PDF of 400 pages from my client with the properties. I'm sure all of them are important. So, what about length?
Okay, that's a very common one for beams. Yes. So, okay, I can add a property here. But before we go further, you probably know that in IFC and in models, every property belongs to a group called property set. And do you know where the length should be in your model?
It's probably not part of the certification exam. But
yeah, it's probably a standard length from IFC. So we can just go back to the documentation. And I have IFC beam definition here. And when I scroll down and search for length, I can see it belongs to this group called QTO _ beam-based quantities. I can just copy this and paste to my specification. Okay, so that's the set. And the value, in this case, is the length. So we are asking for length property to be exactly there. We could go further and add restrictions on those values, but let's stop here. Anything else you would like to add to your beams?
Oh, I don't know. I have 400 pages, but fire rating.
Okay, fire rating. I like it.
Last used example in the Word.
Yeah. So I can add it. I know where it is. It's in the PCERT Beam Common. Right. The tool is actually advising me also because it knows the standard property sets and properties. Okay. And we can just stop here, or do you want to specify? Because now we ask the fire rating to be present for all of the beams, and the software will tell us if it's there or not. Do you also want to restrict the value? For example, to say that it has to be a text or a number, or you could go further and specify. like allowed values, for example?
Yeah, like 60 or 30.
60 or 30? Just a number or any text?
Ray 30, 60.
Okay, let me add this allowed value. Okay, I can specify it here in this tool to be the Ray 30 and Ray 60, so only 2 values. Okay. And this is it. We have our IDS specification with 1 group of elements, 3 requirements. We can see in the bottom right corner that this file is valid. It's validating if the information is specified correctly. And then we can also see how it looks in plain text. So if I scroll up, I can see this live preview that shows me exactly this in a very friendly format.
Oh, this is nice. So this is the same thing that I've required at the beginning.
I hope it is.
More or less. Okay.
But the information is structured according to the standard. So for you, this looks like this. But for a machine, for a computer, it looks more like this XML file that I have here.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's the same information, just displayed in a very structured file. So you see, everything is the same. Ray 30, Ray 60, material, wood.
Exactly, it looks exactly the same. But wait a second. So since you have these, let's say, ugly version of the IDS, that means that you can do some sort of automation out of it?
Exactly. I can open my IFC model and check if this information is present.
Okay. Can you show that?
Yeah, if you want. So I will.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but at this point, I guess we're.
Yeah, I just downloaded this IDS file, and let me open the same model that we had. Yeah, you recognize it. I already loaded the IDS and IFC here. And if I hover here, I can display, okay, so we have 6 elements that are subject to checking, and half of them passes, half of them fails. So as you can see, 3 elements have some problems. So yeah, this way you can use IDS to make sure that your IFC data is according to your needs. So it's checking if the information is there that you need for simulations, analysis, estimations, and so on.
Okay, but this is really cool, but is this sort of a prototype, or is it usable already in real life projects?
No, like this is one of many tools. Actually, I can go further. I just wanted to show you the highlights, but I can go deeper and have a look at the first element. Maybe I can just scroll through them. Some elements passed, some elements failed, but I didn't want to show you the details. But if you ask, for example, this beam is missing a property called fire rating. This one has a property called fire rating, but the value is Ray 45, which is not something you allowed. So yes, thanks to this, we know what elements, what information is not according to your needs, so we can improve it.
Okay, so you're saying people are using these IDS in real life projects?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Do you think people here is using this?
Yeah, so you don't trust me? Okay, well, yeah, I know many of them do. So maybe could you raise your hand if you are using IDS in your countries, in your projects? Okay, I see a lot of lights, but I also see many hands. Great. So could I invite you on stage to tell us a bit more about how are you using IDS, and introduce yourself first?
Apparently it's a thing to break on stage these days.
Yeah, you have a clicker here, so you can.
Perfect, thank you. Yes, we actually are using IDS on a little project in Denmark. I need to click once more. There it was. So my name is Ole Berard. I come from buildingSMART Denmark, and I wanted to show you a little project that we've been using IDS for. So the little project I'm talking is a fixed link between Denmark and Germany. It's over the Fehmarn Belt. It's a 7 billion euro project. It is built and operated by a publicly owned company called Sonnenbelt, which we and together as buildingSMART International have been working with to implement it on their project. And the wrong button here. Sorry, the motivation for what's it called, to use it on the Fehmarn project is both because the Sonnenfeld organization actually knows the value of data, especially knows the value of data for their operation phase. So they own also the Big Belt Bridge, which is the big bridge which is between the country, between the two major islands in Denmark. And actually, it says here by drones and AI, but actually by having good data, by having good facilities data, they extended the lifetime of the bridge to 200 years. So that was the major motivation to also implement it on the Fehmarn link. Is we want to get more out of our infrastructure in Denmark, more value for money, and one way of doing it is to have better data for operations. We also want to make our life as easy as possible, since we have 6 major engineering consultants on that project. We have more than 400 subcontractors working on that project. Not thousands of models, but there are hundreds of models on that project. And checking that and coordinating that manual, that is going to be a lot of work, especially if you want to have good information you can put in your in your facility management system afterwards. So we have identified a lot of requirements, a lot of properties, a lot of disciplines, and now we are checking models every week, tens of models, or every month. We're checking the incoming IFC models to make sure we have the information we need when we operate that building.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Please. Thank you. I'm really pleased that you came prepared with your slides. That's
how convenient. They were included in your deck.
So let's go back to the desktop. So I hope we explained to you what IDS can do for you, how IDS can help you. Right?
Well, yeah, but you still didn't mention what IDS cannot be used for, because okay, I get it, real life, big projects, good, but for everything?
No, not for everything. So IDS can do a lot. It can check, as we demonstrated, if information is present, but in its scope, it's mainly those text and number and materials and all of those properties that you saw, but there are things that are excluded from the scope on purpose. So for example, you cannot check the geometry or calculate the distance from one point to the other. You cannot make those kind of checks with IDS. So yeah, it's still pretty powerful. I hope you understand the value of this.
Yeah, I know, it's definitely interesting. So I understood it's a standard for defining information requirements. That's the most important thing. It's machine interpretable. That's why you're able to do the checking part. Mm-hmm. It helps with the clearer requirements, less manual checks, I guess, so improves automation, easier and quicker IFC model checking. You can use it for properties, classification, materials, and a bunch of other things, but no geometry, calculation, dependencies between. Okay, I get it.
That's pretty much it, yes.
Okay, yep, thank you. You can continue, thank you.
Sure, but maybe you can be helpful here and tell us, what would you do if you see that your model is missing this information, or there are some inconsistencies in your data? What would you do then?
Well, I usually have a big team, so if there's an error, I take a screenshot usually of the error, and I send an email with all the problems to be fixed.
Okay, and that must be a lot of emails, right?
Sometimes I use WhatsApp.
Okay, but still a lot of exchange of information, right?
Yeah.
So I think I have a solution that could help you. Maybe you heard of it, maybe you use it, but maybe you don't know how it's called. But we have a standard called BCF.
BCF?
Yes, BIM collaboration format.
I don't think I have it yet.
Well, you might be using it without knowing what's the underlying standard. It's pretty common, but it's very it's even simpler than IDS, I would say, but it's very powerful. It allows you to communicate using the data as the framework, let's say. So it's similar to exchanging WhatsApp messages or emails, but you can also add much more rich information. So for example, you can show which elements you are talking about. You can select them in your BCF comment. You can add a camera, so the person looking at it points exactly at the same element in their software. You can add comments, you can add status, you can assign a person, you can resolve the statuses, many things.
Nice. Show me something.
Okay, yeah. So
this guy starts with theory. I don't get it.
Yeah, so I opened the same model in different tool. Oh yeah, actually this is the checking tool. So let me just download the.
Is it the same tool?
This is the same tool. I would just download the BCF out of it and open a different one.
But can I use any tool I want?
Yeah, but I have, this one is convenient for me, but I could use any different tool that supports this standard. Yes,
okay.
There are plenty. So I just loaded this model and the BCF report, let's say, from the checking. And I have the same issues, or we call them topics. And I can see that, okay, one element is too short, one is missing fire rating, and one has a wrong value. So I can, go through it. I can click on the first one, display where the element is. I can go further, click on the next one, see where it is. I can assign it to myself and change it to resolve because I already added this one when you were not looking. And the last one, I'm busy at the summit, so I will just assign it to myself and say I will do it tomorrow.
Yeah, lazy.
Yeah, okay. So this is it. Yeah, you can communicate with your team or with other partners based on the model directly in your BIM tools. So I think this is a small improvement over the email communication, right?
Yeah, small one, but still. Thank you for that. I'll take a note of it. So I understood that this is another standard.
Yes, BCF
with another abbreviations. Okay. It improves collaboration definitely, and it's helping in tracking issue and the resolution of such issues. Is that a fair summary?
Yes, and you can use it for many other things, not for just IDS checking. You can just add comments that you have, or if you want to propose some changes, or if you make a clash detection, you can also report them using the BCF. Many things. It's BIM-based communication, basically.
Very interesting. I see I'm using most of your time, so I don't want to. Thank you for these, and
Sure. Thank you so much.
But so there's one thing I was wondering, because I mean, you showed me this IFC standard and the IDS for specifying information using IFC, and then these BCF for tracking issues and resolutions. But big models like the one from Fehmarn, they must have a lot of properties and objects. So are you sure that IFC can capture the terminology and the properties that are required by big projects?
I see that. Yeah, it's a very good question. Thank you for this one. Well, IFC has many terms. I don't know exact number, but there are plenty of definitions that cover, I would say, majority of the use cases. But there are some examples where you need to follow national standards with very specialized classification to follow local regulations. Or, for example, you have teams coming from different countries and they are used to different ways of working. So yes, you can add information to the IFC.
Yeah, let's add them to IFC. Let's extend the IFC standard. That's a good idea.
Well, I see your point. It's common thing to add additional information to the IFC data that is not part of the IDS standard, like user-defined attributes or custom property sets, different ways to call it. But at some point, you are losing this standardization part. Like you are using new terms, so every model you open is a surprise, and you lack this consistency, right? And we thought about this, and we thought, okay, if people use IFC but sometimes need to add additional definitions that are not there, that are not found in IFC, let's add this possibility to also share them with others so that others can use the same definitions. So yeah, I think I will show you.
How can I do that?
Well, you can add information in your BIM software, but if you want to find those definitions that are not part of the IFC, but you could use them to add to your models, enrich your models, you can have a look at the buildingSMART data dictionary. We call it bSDD in short.
Of course, it's another abbreviation. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And it's not a standard. It's a service that acts as a big database containing definitions of classes and properties that you can use to add to your specification, to your IFC data when the IFC standard is not enough or you want to add additional, more specialized terms.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, I think it's probably a more reasonable way of amending and extending. But
Yes.
do you happen to have an example?
I can show you the bSDD website where you can search for different terms that exist in the database. It's only one way of looking at bSDD because the main point of interaction is using your software that hopefully has this integration already. And you can search for terms. So, for example, I looked for a sauna definition because I live in Norway and almost every building has a sauna, but IFC doesn't have a sauna definition. So IFC has just IFC space. And I want to specify that this space is a sauna. So I can see that there are plenty of definitions that mention sauna coming from different organizations. So it's not buildingSMART that publishes it, but independent organizations. And okay, I know that the first couple of the organizations such as CCI Classification System, eTeam, International, Uniclass, I could use those systems to enrich my model with more terms. So let's have a look at the sauna definition here. So this is the page at the bSDD website defining a sauna published by, in this case, Molio, who published the CCI classification. And I can read what is the meaning of sauna. I can see the unique identifier. So when I put this in my documents and in my models, I know that I'm talking about exactly this definition, and everybody can also see what I meant by saying sauna. And what else? You can sometimes have translations. You can request changes if you want to notify that this definition is not correct. What's very important, you can also see how the person who uploaded this would like sauna to be represented in IFC. So in this case, you can see that it should be modeled as IFC sauna. And you can also find, for example, relations to most commonly attached properties. And in this case, it happens to be part of the IFC standard. So you can, match those terms.
Okay, but
pretty much it.
Interesting, but is this used? I mean, other than people having a sauna?
Let me show you an example from a model that I have here. So yes, I have another model, and I was asked here to model balconies, but in IFC, I don't have a balcony, I have IFC slabs.
IFC doesn't have anything.
It has hundreds, if not thousands of terms anyway. It's just sometimes there are some specialized definitions that are that can be added on top. You know, IFC stands for foundation classes, so those are only the core building blocks.
Of course, I know.
Modeling. Yeah. So I can add the CCI code defining a balcony by using the tool that I have here. Let me just search for balcony. It reads the bSDD database thanks to our open and free API integration. It knows that balcony, according to CCI, is IFC slab. It has some properties that go along with balconies, such as construction method. In this case, let me do in situ. And is it external? Yes, it's external balcony. And that's it. I can save this model, load it into different tool. I can select the same slab, and I see I have all of those properties. Yeah. And you can see there's another tab with classifications. So this is how I added this definition to my object. So it's still the same object. It's both IFC slab and it's a balcony according to the modeler, which is in this case me. And I have the same identifier that I was showing you. I can follow this link to find what is the meaning of balcony. And yeah, this way we can basically, hopefully, communicate better.
Okay. And so since IFC apparently doesn't have anything and you have to rely on these, I guess there are many people using this.
As I said, it has most of the terms already, but sometimes we need to add this extra.
So a lot of people using it.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I have statistics from last month. We have around 8,000 unique users monthly who are asking for those terms and using them on their projects. And this is growing because we started counting like last year when we implemented many of those features, and the user base is definitely growing.
But are these real people or bots pinging the API?
We tried to verify it, but I'm sure many of them are here. So could you raise your hands if you are using bSDD? Okay, thank you. Yes, the lights are crazy. I see many people. Could I welcome you, lady on stage, please? And tell us who you are and why are you using bSDD and how.
I bet she has the presentation on your deck, right?
I hope so.
Next time, try to call someone from this side, okay? Because I'm the first row. I don't like the first row over there.
I don't know if there will be a next time. Please, sorry.
All right, Evandro, right? It's your name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Don't take this personal, or take it personal, but you're really not understanding this, are you? I see you nodding, and I see you saying yes, but I don't believe you.
I'm taking notes.
Yeah, okay. Let me try to explain it to you. My name is Arisca. I work for Schiphol Airport, and I co-chair the airport domain here at buildingSMART International.
Fancy.
So you came here by airplane, I assume? You got on a plane, I think, in Amsterdam?
I flew that.
You flew?
Yeah.
Here. When you got to the airport, it was pretty clear to you where to go, right? You went to check in your baggage. You needed to get your boarding pass in case it needed printed or whatever. So you know where to go.
I basically followed them, but yeah.
You go to the airport. You go to the check-in desk. You get your boarding pass. You check in your luggage. You go to the gate. You fly to Singapore. And here we are, right? Oops, sorry. There's no questions, no discussion. You got it. When we do have discussion is when we are looking at lifecycle management. At Schiphol Airport, we do require projects and asset management to use IFC. But as you can see, we have a lot of different stakeholders involved. And all of those different stakeholders play a role in delivering us data. However, if we have to deal with all of those different stakeholders throughout the lifecycle, all of those different people can call it something different. So in the design phase, someone could call it a check-in point and use IFC furniture, for example, because they believe that's the correct term to use. However, when it gets to the builder, someone could be using it a registration counter, and because they're not really sure what IFC entity to use, they'll use the building element proxy. Then it gets to the client, to the asset owner, and they're like, wait a minute, it should be called a baggage drop-off, and with a different IFC entity. So this takes a lot of time, a lot of discussion, and a lot of money. And it's usually ends up in people pointing fingers at each other because it's not clear what entity to use or even what to call this thing. So what we have done from the airport domain is we have a working group, and we have collected all of those objects that are not in the IFC schema. They're very airport specific. You won't probably find them anywhere else. And we we mapped them to IFC, and we sent it out to the experts in the world. We created a survey, made sure everyone could deliver input, and let us know whether they agreed or they disagreed with the naming convention and the link to IFC. And what we have done is we published it in the buildingSMART data dictionary. We all agreed that we should call it a check-in desk. We have it mapped to IFC furniture. We have given it a definition according to the standards from, in this case, IATA. So there's no more discussion of what this thing should be called. We're all using a common language, calling it the same thing. And it's both readable by humans and, as Arthur showed, by computers. We also followed the bildingSMART Data Dictionary guidelines. And so since last week, we are also officially a verified account within the bildingSMART Data Dictionary. And so this can now be used by airports all over the world or people working for airports.
Nice. So you have a certificate.
Yes.
Cool.
You might want to add it to your list as well.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Arisca. Thank you. So that's an example, like how people are using bSDD, how people are publishing in bSDD. But I saw there were many hands in the audience. So let's hear from one more.
Next.
Okay?
Yeah, sure.
So I saw you gentlemen raising your hand. Could you tell us, introduce yourself and tell
Same
us
row. Strange.
how you are using bSDD?
Should I go? Hello. Should I first go to sit there and come from there?
He's Finnish. He's the one that introduced Sona. I mean, you're cheating.
I don't know that person. Sorry, go ahead.
Hi, Evandra. Nice to meet you. I'm Tarmo. I'm working from Finnish Transport Infrastructure Agency. Nice to meet you. We are a public client owning roads, railways, and waterways in Finland. And I will tell a little bit about where we have used our bSDD. We have actually created bSDD, tested it in our projects. And why do we do it? We are a project organization, but we are also asset information organization. And these two worlds are very different. Project information model is like that project, Kirri-Tikkakoski in Finland. It's 17 kilometers, 140 million euros. But it's a small amount of people working few years for lots of information. But then we have the asset information view. There's a road network of Finland, 78,000 kilometers. And we want information from Kirri-Tikkakoski to flow to the asset information system and vice versa. And we have actually tested the bSDD. We have created FTIA, bSDD, and I can take one rail example. Do you like railways? Do you know what is railway?
I came by plane.
Okay, yeah. But you can take a rail, the dictionary, and there you can see Finnish railway terms. You like Finnish language, is very beautiful.
Yeah, sauna.
Sauna, ajolanka, eristysjatkos, erotusjakso, etujatkosalue. If you don't understand, some of you don't understand this, you can change this into English, from Finnish to English, and they are in English. If some contractor, for example, is international, they don't know. And I take there one thing in insulated joint, and then there is a lot of properties of that one. And then you can take, for example, manufacturer, and there is a different kind of what is the manufacturer of that one. So this is we have put information on our asset information systems to here, and then in future we want to deliver this information to the design and construction, and then when the designer and constructor is making those things, they can automatically get the information. I make another example. We had a sauna earlier. Now there is a snow brush. It's very important in our railways gears. And there is, if you have a snow brush on the gear or not.
So those are yes and no.
Yes, kyllä, ei. Yes and no.
So I speak Finnish.
Yes. You have a certificate for that?
Not yet.
Okay.
Working on it.
So, but I accidentally have a little bit more information for you if you want to study a certificate. There is some information of FTIA bSDD, some bSDD presentation in English from different places. And then we also have some Finnish videos for the people who know Finnish, like you. Because we have tested this with Finnish software vendors, and they have been very interested for this one. And also one thing which has been very interested, that when we have introduced this bSDD system, not only project people has been interested about BIM, but also the asset information people has been more interested about BIM. So
nice.
We are really see huge potential for that one.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Tarmo.
Thank you. You see?
Then I don't know. Do you have any more friends in the audience?
We are all friends.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I hope this gives you an idea who is using bSDD and what for, right?
Yeah, that's definitely used in practice. So I take it back. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, let me just add one thing because Tarmo actually mentioned something very important, that in bSDD you can also have translations of terms, so you can better communicate with people speaking different languages. But let me open this IFC wall definition, which is translated to many languages. So those are all official translations that were done by the bildingSMART community, but by bildingSMART chapters and verified. And what's important here is that even though you have those translations available here in your models, in your data, it's all this still the same definition. You can see the code that identifies it and the identifier, which is a link. They are not changed when you switch languages. So this is just for humans to better understand that they are talking about this, not something else.
So I referenced one thing, which is these, and then the translation is somewhere else.
Yes. So your computer will only see this one thing, but users, your team members and so on, can see it in different languages.
Okay.
That's bSDD.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, it's a service, right? It's not a standard.
Yes.
Still.
Do you have any other notes?
Yeah, I probably wrong wording, but it's I understood it's like a database with many dictionaries with a lot of terms and properties, like hosting many dictionaries and classification.
Mm-hmm.
You can use it to extend the IFC terminology with additional classes and properties, so you don't have to add the SONA into IFC. And it comes with multi-language support.
Yes, there's much more, but I think this is enough for now about bSDD.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think that was everything. Sorry.
Thank you so much, Evandro. So,
because I'm really, I mean, we're almost using the entire time, so probably worth. I have another question if I can.
But I hope those questions are also worth answering in front of the whole audience. So please go ahead.
It's always convenient that you have the answer in your slide deck, but
it's live desktop.
Because I get that. Because in my daily practice, I have years of experience. I mean, you saw my certificate. So I deal with a big team, big models, but most of the time, more than half of the files, IFC files that we get, don't even open. So they might be really wrong. How do I know if an IFC file is an IFC file?
Well, it can happen sometimes, but if you say half of the models, that probably your team doesn't have certificates, do they?
Maybe they don't.
Yeah, so, well, you can save your data to an IFC file, but it can still be wrong. Like, it's not necessarily valid IFC file. So in order for it to be a valid, it needs to comply with the whole standard. So it's not just a file that you export as IFC and that's it. It also has to comply with all of those rules. And you remember the documentation I was showing you?
Yeah, at the beginning.
There were plenty of rules that were telling, okay, how do you model a wall? How relations between a wall and a space should be captured and all of that. So it's not as easy to validate this, but we have a service for that. And it's also a free service, not a standard. We call it the validation service.
Validation service. No, I'm waiting for the abbreviation.
No abbreviation.
No abbreviation.
No.
You ran out of them?
Just validation. It explains itself, and I think it's enough. Yes, and it's a simple service that allows you to validate if your file complies with the standard. It's all open source. It's free, and you can even run it locally, but you can also use our quite convenient web application for this. So I guess you want to see it?
If you insist.
Okay, so let me open this in a browser. So this is how it looks, very, very simple. I just drag and drop an IFC model in here, and I click upload. and it takes some time, few minutes to validate.
It's not that slow.
10 seconds.
Okay.
And you can see that the results are split into 4 columns. So the syntax, IFC schema, some normative rules, and industry practices. So I don't want to go into too much details, but you can, probably get that you failed one of the rules. So I can open this one. Well, when I say you failed, my model failed, sorry. I can read what is the problem. In this case, yes, there is a property in a property set that is using the official standard prefix, but the name is wrong. It doesn't belong to the standard. So we see what is not okay in the model, and then we can improve the model before we perform any simulation, estimation, and so on. So this way we know when the model is good enough, but it's not checking the data. It's just checking the compliance with the standard. So if you want to check the content of the model, what would you use for this?
IDS.
Bingo. Great.
Can I get a certificate?
Ask me in 10 minutes. Okay. So that's it. Do you want to summarize what validation service is?
Yeah, I'm taking notes. So it's another service. It's not a standard. No abbreviations. Check IFC files against the IFC standard. It's free, transparent, open source. Does not check case-specific, like use case-specific requirements, because for that you have IDS. And since probably it's used for checking the validity of an IFC file, you're going to use it at the outset of any other validation processes that you might have.
You can use it multiple times to make sure that all the data you exchange is valid, so that there are no problems that pop up at the end of the process. So,
okay,
yeah, that's pretty much it. You are a quick learner.
Okay, and yeah, but probably I do have one other question.
What is it?
Because now that we're talking about big models with a lot of errors, usually in my company, we are a lot of people collaborating, and sometimes we deal with big models, and we need to do concurrent changes or really small updates of the model, and we have to exchange the entire IFC file, which is pretty big. And so, does IFC have a way to do incremental updates or smaller changes so that people can provide different opinions on the same thing?
I see your point. Well, IFC, which is a standard, is mainly about defining how do we capture this information in a standardized way, in a way that we agreed on globally. So we have a global consensus among us. But yeah, I see your point. It's often what we are requested. And as I said, IFC is constantly being improved. So there are new versions of IFC being developed, right? And we are working currently on a new version of IFC that will hopefully answer your needs, but I'm not the best person to answer this question. So let me invite Léon van Berlo on stage to tell you a bit more about this.
It's not coming from the first row?
No.
Hello.
Hello, Léon.
Hello. Hi, Vandro.
Hello.
Yeah, so we are indeed developing a new IFC5. And as you've already learned from Arthur, many of the things we are working on, IFC, IDS, bSDD, is about automation to make sure that you don't have to do all of those manual stuff in your 400 PDF pages requirements, but to really automate those things. So automation is the driver behind the next generation of IFC. And if you talk about IFC5, you will see a lot of sessions tomorrow as well. I assume you're here tomorrow as well.
Yeah, so. Of course.
There's a lot to learn about IFC5, and you'll see a lot of these additional abbreviations on the technology that are really cool. But indeed, I won't go into them in too much detail with limited time left. But you were talking about the incremental updates. So let's take the model again. This is actually the official buildingSMART model that you can find on our webpage as well. that Arthur also used before. Jan Brouwer made this. It's wonderful. It's also completely valid according to the validation service, in case you wanted to check that. It's always interesting. And with IFC5, there is an IFC5 version of this. And with IFC5, Jan can now also say, oh, let me just do a simple incremental update. I want to add a couple of properties. These properties are now known to me. They were not known before when I was making the original model. I just want to add them, and he kind of adds only those properties as a set to the complete model. Yeah, I'm too tall for the microphones, right? So is that something that would please you?
Yeah, it sounds like exactly what we need.
Cool. Oh, that's actually the technology behind this also unlocks a couple of other pretty nice principles, because now you have Jan making a model and Jan updating his own model, but the technology would also make it possible for Stijn to update that model. And the nice thing about IFC5 is that it doesn't become one big data set. It actually remembers who did what part. So the authorship of the individual properties is really tracked, which makes it really nice. You can really compose the whole model, and you can exactly see who contributed what. Interesting?
Examples?
Come check it out tomorrow.
Yeah.
This takes too long for examples. Nice thing is that because of this new technology and because all of these abbreviations, we are going to unlock so much more new use cases where the certificates you want are not even existing yet. Nice example that I always like is Jan has this model and everyone contributed their expertise to it. The fire engineer added properties about fire ratings and architect about materials. And then Jan hits a button on his system. The data is being distributed through APIs, online systems with AI or without AI do analysis. They do cost estimation, clash detection, maybe even an IDS check that is happening online within seconds. Simulation of scheduling. We have fire distribution analysis, and Jan gets these results back instantly within seconds, maybe minutes. And based on these automated online systems that give him insight in his design within minutes, he can then immediately adapt his design to be better at his design and engineering skills. This is the promise of IFC5. And to do this, unfortunately, you need even more abbreviations.
Oh.
So all of this ECS, JSON, APIs, all of this new technology will be working under the hood. Most of your team won't see it, but these are the new technologies that will unlock all of these new use cases. So it's a massive changing technology, and that's always scared, changing technology, but I really want to emphasize that this is answering the needs of the industry. These new use cases, incremental updates, as you said yourself, are really coming from the industry. We also have a much stronger focus on reliability in software implementation, so there's no loss of data when all of this data is being exchanged between these online services. And as I said, if you want to learn more, if you want to see it tomorrow, we already have a first alpha version available, and also development is really going much faster than usual. Looks good?
Looks very interesting.
Cool.
Okay. So I took a couple of notes. You can't show me examples because I have to wait till tomorrow. Okay, I get it. But it's combining different technologies. So this is really the best of many technologies combined. It's not just that, but it allows more use cases and more interesting functionality, like the simulation you were talking about. And it's coming from industry needs. We really need that concurrent changes, and you can't give a release date yet. Yeah.
You really are a quick learner.
Yeah.
You know so much by now, you should come work for us.
Not sure.
Yeah, I get it. Anything else you want to know?
So there are no certificates on this yet. So I'll if I want to learn more or do more with all the other stuff that Arthur showed today, what do I do?
Yeah, but be honest. Do you want to learn more, or do you want to get another certificate?
Both.
Okay, that's a good answer. I like that. Actually, we have a really good education program, which is indeed absolutely focused on learning how to use this stuff in practice. And it's led by Céline Bent, our compliance director. I'm not sure where she's sitting, but let's see.
Let me guess.
Céline, can
Of course.
Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow in the IFC5 session. Then.
Yeah, I'll take a note.
So indeed, buildingSMART has developed an educational program called Professional Certification. And this program is offered by training providers around the world, including in Singapore. And it consists of 4 different levels. And you can see each level as a step into getting more in-depth knowledge about openBIM. It starts with entry. It's a general introduction to what does BIM mean, what does openBIM mean, why does buildingSMART exist. You can take this training online through our website. It will take you about 30 minutes. And then we have the first official level, which is called Foundation. And it really explains you everything you need to know about information management and all these different standards and services that you just learned about. And then there are 2 more advanced levels of training. One of them is called Management. This is aimed at managers of projects or departments, organizations, and they learn here how to implement openBIM within their projects. And then there's Practitioner, and Practitioner uses really hands-on exercises with the same models that you just saw here. And that really helps you to master the openBIM workflow. But in order to get to these 2 levels, and I almost don't dare to say it, but you do need a certificate. And that's the Foundation certificate. And usually you need to get extensive training in order for you to be able to do the exam to get the certificate. But for this special occasion, for this community, and especially after this very good educational session, we offer you all to take this exam for free. And don't worry, I really think you all have enough knowledge by now to pass the exam. But if you are a bit afraid and you'd like a refresher training, then come tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock to the Garnet room, where the leader of professional certification himself, Cornelius Preidel, will give this crash course for the foundation level of professional certification.
Sorry, free certificate if I join this?
Yes, this is a golden chance.
Not coming to the IFC5 session.
So please sign up for one of the 4 exam slots. There's not many seats left, so be quick by scanning this QR code, or you can come to the desk at the booth next to where the lunch is. And I hope to see many of you there tomorrow.
Great. Thank you so much, Céline.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right. I hope you all got the QR code already.
I mean, if you're late, doesn't matter. I mean, it's okay.
Yes. So yeah, that's, I think, not leaving us much time for the original presentation.
I thought you had the presentation beside this.
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had really nice slides, but
I'm so sorry I interrupted you all this time. I didn't mean to.
Yeah, I shouldn't have let you in, but thank you for asking the very, I would say, precise questions that allowed me to answer some of the openBIM solutions. There is much more, but I don't think we can take it now. But I think unless you have any more questions.
I don't. except, is it already time for coffee, or do we have some more?
Well, let me just close this, and we can maybe give applause to Evandro for joining us in this session. Thank you so much.
Should I get off?
You can stay on stage, please. Yes. Actually, yes. This was all. Whoops. Sorry. I wanted to thank all of the people from the audience who joined us on stage, and all of the speakers. So
these were prepared.
Yes.
I knew.
You might have not get it, but yes, thank you so much. And if you have more questions, please join the sessions tomorrow and the day after, or talk to us during the breaks. And thank you so much. I would like to just highlight that what we demonstrated are the basics of openBIM. There's of course a lot of complexity that we didn't dive into, but those solutions, those standards are the foundation of what I mentioned at the beginning, the digital collaboration in our industry, and they are enablers for interoperability. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Arthur.